Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of another Dime In The Jukebox. My guest today is the lead singer and guitarist for the amazingly energetic heavy metal band Void Vator. I've seen those guys live a few times now, and each show is awesome. Their music is amazing. Hey, Lucas, thanks again for being on my show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Uh, let's start. So the first question is, what was the first musical instrument you played, and how old were you when you played it?
I don't remember specifically how old I was. I always say I was around 9 years old, maybe 10, when I started playing drums, which was my first instrument. Um, and yeah, I don't remember exactly how young I was, but same difference. 19 years old, I started playing drums. I was going to a music school to learn drums because, my parents asked me what instrument I wanted to play, and I was a hyperactive kid. So I was like, hitting on things with sticks sounds like a good idea to me. That was my first instrument. It had nothing to do with music. It was just the fact that it looked fun. I remember seeing drummers, here and there, and it always caught my attention. Like, all these guys are playing their instruments, but that guy is hitting things. That looks cool. So I wanted to do that. And then right about the same time, I got into Nirvana and Kiss, which were my two, the first rock bands that I got really into. Um, and at the music school that I was taking drum lessons at, I saw a white Stratocaster, and it reminded me of the white Stratocaster that Kurt Cobain was playing at the MTV Music Awards show. And I'm like, ooh, that kind of looks like Kurt's guitar. I want to see. I just grabbed it. It's just, I was drawn to it. So I picked it up, and I don't know what I did with it. I just picked it up and picked it a little bit. I don't know what I did. I can't remember, but it felt good. And that's when I was like, you know what? I think I want to play guitar, and
Nice,
that's how that got started.
nice. Yeah. The story you told about the drums kind of reminds me a little bit of Tommy Lee. I read in his biography that he liked to bang on the pots and pans in his parents' kitchen when he was like six or something. So yeah, and yeah, Nirvana, that's awesome. I've been a huge fan of theirs since I was 17. Although I do kind of like their one acoustic, like unplugged album more than like their heavier stuff. But I love songs like Rape. Like that's one of my favorite like heavier ones. But
I I remember that I had that Unplugged album too, and that album was very important for me because I learned a lot of songs because they're very simple, like they're very 3 or 4 chord songs with open chords, nothing too technical. So when you're starting to learn how to play guitar, those songs are pretty, accessible, and you get the satisfaction to be able to play them. Um, so that album actually was very helpful to me to learn how to play the guitar because when I decided to switch, I got a classical guitar from one of my aunts. Very hard to play guitar, like the strings were like this far away from the fretboard. And playing those Nirvana songs was kind of what got me going, playing the guitar. So that album specifically, the Unplugged album.
I see. Well, yeah, it's one of my favorites. I've been trying to learn how to sing those songs too. It's been a while since I've been doing them. I've been learning how to do other stuff since then. But anyway, so like, what bands first got you into rock and roll? Like, which bands inspired you? I know that you already said like Kiss and Nirvana, but like any other bands, or like how exactly did you come across them, if you even remember?
I do remember when I was very young. My mom used to take me to her rehearsals. She would sing in a choir, and they would do plays with orchestras and stuff like that. And they do operas and um, rock operas, all sort of like really good productions. And she would just take me with her, and I would just hang out. And I was surrounded by musicians and but like orchestra musicians, not like rock and roll musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different world. And in my house, my parents listened to the Beatles, Elton John, stuff like that. Maybe even some like 80s new wave. And then at one point, I was watching television and I can't even remember if it was MTV or something, and this music, the Kiss came up, and I'm like, what the hell? That's crazy, you know? And then like a few weeks later, I was like messing around at my grandparents' house, and I found like a stash of records that belonged to one of my aunts. And I started to go through it, and I see Kiss Alive too, and I'm like, that's the band that I saw on television. And that album cover is super, like, it just pops, especially if you're like 10 or something. You're like, whoa, what is this? And I put it on, and I loved it right away. So that was one, and that's for Kiss. And for Nirvana, it was a little different. I heard about the name, you know. Um, and then one day I was at a flea market, and at the flea market they had a little record store where they sold CDs. And I asked the dude, "Hey, do you have anything about any Nirvana albums?" And he was kind of like, like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can show this to you. Like, you're too young or something. Like, I don't know. Like, it was just too heavy for a kid. He's like, "Okay, I mean, I'll show it to you. I don't know if you're gonna like it. This is pretty heavy stuff, man. And he put it on, and he showed me In Utero, which is strange. Most people heard Smell Like Teen Spirits first. Never mind. This
Yeah.
guy, I don't know, showed me In Utero. He put on, and he didn't even put on the first track. He put on Scentless Apprentice. It starts with the drums. I was immediately like, yeah, yeah. And then the guitars come in. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then, you know how that song goes. He's just saying, go away, just yelling. And I never heard anything like that before, because I was, I knew the Beatles, I knew Elton John, now I knew Kiss, but it's also more melodic. So, and even that Alive album is not even that heavily distorted. It's more like a rock guitar tone. So when I heard that Nirvana album and that song in particular, I'm like, are you allowed to do that? You can do that? You can just scream like that? It's almost not musical sounding, but it's exciting. It got me like, whoa, this guy is breaking the rules, and I like this. It's awesome. And I was like, yes, please, I want to buy it. So I bought the album and I put it on, and I was just in love with it. I love that album. And that is to this day my favorite Nirvana album, because it was my first.
I see.
And
So
as far as other bands, I don't know, like progressively started getting into a little bit of Soundgarden. Um, what else? Oh, well, and then I started watching MTV, and because that's kind of at the time where MTV got to Uruguay, where I was living. So that was around the year 2000. So all these bands like System of a Down, and even bands that I do not like to this day, that I'm not going to mention, were coming up. So that whole like new metal thing, and I was kind of into it a little bit. Marilyn Manson, the Foo Fighters too. Um, so I started getting into that a little bit, and a little bit later, one of my uncles was really into metal, and he was kind of like, "Oh, you listen to all that stuff? I like Guns N' Roses too." And he was like, "Oh, no, 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 that's for babies. Like, you gotta listen to Pantera, you gotta listen to Metallica, you gotta listen to Sepultura, Testament, so it's Slayer." So he gave me all this cassettes, Wasp. So he gave me all these cassettes to listen to, and I'm like, whoa, this is something different. Like, I never heard this like on MTV or anywhere. Especially, I remember Sepultura being a band that I was like, holy, that's heavy. Jesus Christ. I heard Territory for the first time. Oh, for Territory. And da-da-dun, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. The heaviness. So I really got into it. Metallica, Ride of Lightning. That was my favorite Metallica album. Um, yeah, and then from then on, it's kind of a blur. Can't really remember. It's been a lot of music.
wow. So yeah, you gave me a lot of stuff to check out because I don't remember how I got into heavy metal myself exactly. I did start listening to Motley Crue when I was about 18. Like I had the CD with like all of their greatest hits. And I would just listen to that over and over again. I got a little bit into Poison, and I listened to a little bit of Joan Jett when I was 18. I didn't fully get into her when I was about 24. So I've always been more into alternative rock, like Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's like my all-time favorite band.
Oh, I love the chili. I can't believe I forgot to mention them. That was one of my
Oh,
Christmas gifts when Californication came out.
mm-hmm.
They gave me that album, and I love that album so much.
Honestly, best band ever. Even though I was a little bit disappointed by their live show back in
Really?
July. Yeah, like a little bit. Honestly, I was surprised at myself because I've been listening to their music since I was 18, and I fucking love it. Honestly,
So when was the show?
it was July 31st of this year, I believe.
Oh, so was it with John Frusciante, and you still didn't like it?
I think it must have been with John Frusciante because he's back. I need to like he's back with them, and yeah, it was with him. I believe it
Wow.
was.
And
So
you were disappointed, like you did not enjoy it, or was it like underwhelming, like you were expecting more?
I did not enjoy it. That's the thing. Because I remember
What?
the
Okay.
first time that I ever saw them live was back in 2017, and I fucking loved that show. Like honestly, I was like crazily singing along to pretty much like every single song. And the thing is, when I went to this show this year, the two opening acts just like plain sucked. The first act,
No.
I have no idea who the guy is. I still don't. Um, he was playing some unbelievably like boring versions of reggae. I think it was.
Was it like what is his name? Thundercat, the bass player?
Yes, yes, that was him.
Okay.
That was him. Like honestly,
Hated him, huh?
I was bored out of my mind throughout this whole set. I was like, when the fuck is this gonna stop? And then the second act was Beck. Now I don't listen to Beck very much. I mean, I do like Loser because I listen to a lot of 90s music. At least I used to a couple of years ago, and I would always put on these like 90s playlists when I would go jogging. And so I did hear Loser in a lot of those playlists.
Yeah.
And it's the only song by Beck that I know. Um, I don't know why I haven't really checked him out that much, but anyway,
Yeah,
even
he's a little bit out there. It's a little
yeah,
weird.
like even
But
when
what about the Chili Peppers? Like when they
by
went
the
on
time
stage?
they came on, I think that I was already so exhausted from seeing
Hmm.
the opening acts that I was like, okay, I'm not as into it as I should be. It's
Just
like
the overall experience was just not that great.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, I get that.
It wasn't as like epic or enjoyable as I was hoping it would be. But
Mm.
still like listening to their songs. I mean, I still learned quite a few of their songs at my voice lessons. So yeah, I mean, it's still my favorite band. It's just it was just that one disappointing experience. I did have
It happens. Not all shows are created equal, you know, like sometimes you'll have better shows and the experience is not just the band playing, but you know, everything around it. Like, you know, how was the parking situation? You know, is there any like good food around? Are the drinks, you know, $50 each, or are they five? You know, like the overall experience is not just the band, but everything around it.
well,
You know.
consider the fact that it was at the SoFi Stadium. I mean, it's an awesome venue. I went to see Motley Crue, Poison, and Def Leppard there about a month later at on August 28th, I think it was, and I loved it. I didn't get there in time to see Joan Jett because I work on Saturdays and I had to get to the
Mm.
show after 5 p.m., which is when I get off work. So I missed out on Joan Jett's set, which kind of bummed me out because I'm a huge fan of hers too. But I got there right when Poison was playing, and I swear to God, as soon as I saw them on stage, I was like, it was insanely awesome to like see them and
Cool.
live. Yeah, because I'm a huge fan of Poison. I'm a huge fan of Def Leppard and well, Motley Crue. I've loved them since I was about 18. Got even more into them when The Dirt came out, when I saw the movie, and when I read the book.
That was a fun movie. I
It
liked it.
is, yeah, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, the book is even better, even better. Like those guys are pretty cool guys. So anyway, next question. So you're from Montevideo, Uruguay. Uruguay.
Uh-huh.
Is that how you say it? So,
However you want to say it, yeah.
what made you to come out? What made you come out to LA?
I was in a band at the time, uh, and we were about to record an album. And I think before we even recorded the album, we said, "Hey, what do you guys want to do? Like, why don't we go somewhere and try to like play in a different country or do something different?" Because, well, we wanted to do music in English.
Hmm.
Because to us, rock in Spanish always sounded a little bit off, because I feel like rock and roll, it's really like it's just American music, you know.
Hmm.
So it would be
Sure.
like playing tango in Russian or singing tango in Russian or you know what I mean, or like singing some sort of like traditional African music in French. It could work, sure, but like to me, like the rock in Spanish always sounded a little bit like something's off, like so to me, rock and roll has to be in English. Um, so we were like, well, let's just try to go. We can go somewhere in Europe. We can go to. Why don't we just go to like Los Angeles? And we were like, okay, cool, let's go. And so we got through a music store, we got tickets for NAM, and that was the excuse. We came here for NAM, and then we looked around. We walked a lot, and we were like, I think we went the first day and the second day. We were like, you know what, this sucks. Let's just go somewhere else. So we were kind of just like, living in a car. Then we found places to stay, and we lived like that for like 6 months.
Holy shit! How long did you live
Playing
in the car
shows.
for?
uh,
How long did you live in the car for?
for about a week.
A week? Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually not too bad.
No, it's not too terrible. It's we're just getting around trying to find places to couch surf.
Mhm.
So we did that for a while, and we were playing shows. We were booking as many shows as we could. We stayed here for like 6 months, and I think we played like maybe like 20 to 30 shows.
Wow, good for you guys. Honestly, that's
Yeah,
a
and
lot.
then after that, we just decided to stay because like going back home felt like, what are we going to do there? We've seen the potential and what this town has to offer. So going back home would have been like too depressing.
Yeah, LA definitely has that effect in you. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been here for a long time, and I didn't even start to like really get into the whole music thing until like after I graduated from college. But I am only now just like starting out with my blog and with my voice lessons and stuff. But I have been going to enough shows, and I have been in that scene enough now, I think, because a lot of my friends are musicians or go out a lot to hear live music, and I've been in that environment for enough time to like know that LA really is the best place for it. I mean, like if you wanna be a musician, there's a lot of connections here, and besides, there's so many connections to like rock and roll. It's
Yeah,
definitely.
it's kind of a double-edged sword because there are a lot of good musicians, but it's also kind of hard to find a solid group of people
Mhm.
that can commit to a project and well, basically not flake on you and go do something else, or everybody's just trying to use everybody else as a stepping stone to whatever's better, always looking for something better. I feel like small towns are better for bands. Like if you want to have your band that is you and your boys, that environment is a lot safer,
Mhm.
but at the same time there's not much going on, so it's kind of a double-edged sword both ways. LA is great because it's got great musicians, but a lot of those people are not people that are willing to be in a band and do the work. They just want to get a gig. That happens a lot, and that's fine. It's part of the deal.
I see. I see. Well, yeah, I guess I got that ahead of me because I do want to sing in a band one day. I mean, I still have a lot of learning to do, and I have to figure out how I'm gonna mix being able to sing with my day job, but that it's not stopping me from wanting to do it.
No, you just gotta go ahead and do it. That would be my advice. Just even if you don't feel like you're ready, I would still get together with people and play and sing because you can sing at home, you can sing at lessons, but there is nothing like getting in, and you've experienced that, I know, like being in the room with people and singing into a microphone where you can kind of not hear yourself very well and the drums are too loud.
Oh,
You got to
exactly.
get used to that, and you got to get better at singing in that environment. And then you got to get better at singing in the environment of a live show. And it's a different beast. So like the sooner you do it, the better, because singing is, if you have a good ear and you can hit notes, you're kind of good to go, because it's all about confidence and not being shy on the microphone.
That's good advice. Definitely
Yeah.
gonna use it. I'll remember that. So, next question: how did Void Vator get its start, and how many members were there initially?
How many members? What?
How many members were there like in the beginning when you first formed your band?
So Void Vator started kind of, it's weird. Once my band from back home dissolved, I started playing out with people, and I joined this band that was kind of starting out. And then that band, the lead singer of that band had a problem with drugs, so he just could not do it. So me and the drummer, his name I think he's still alive. His name is Joey, and him and I started playing together. It's just the two of us, just jamming and writing songs. Um, and I think we still had the same bass player from the previous band. And then I think we did like one or two rehearsals, and then Joey said, "Hey Lucas, I have a friend of mine named Eric. He's gonna come here and jam with us." And I'm like, "Cool, another guitar player." So that rehearsal is when I met Eric, and he came up and he started playing. We started going back and forward doing solos, and I'm like, "This guy's really good." And then we just kind of kept rehearsing. It was very laid back, and nothing was very official. It's not like, "Do you want to be in the band now?" It was more like, "Hey, do you guys want to get together in a week?" "Yeah, sure." So that's kind of how it started. Um, we played our first show um, at the Rainbow upstairs,
Oh, nice.
and Ulrich Weil was there. Ulrich Weil is a producer that lives up in Silver Lake, and he's worked with like many famous bands. He's done Static X and Pantera and Deftones.
Oh, wow.
And that was our first show, and he was there, and Ulrich is an awesome dude. I love that guy. And he was starting his own like small independent label, and he wanted to record bands that he thought were good.
Mhm.
And so he came and talked to me after, and he was like, "Oh, I'm a producer and blah blah blah, and I would like to work with you guys." And me, I'm just kind of like skeptical, so I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever."
Mhm.
And then I talked to Eric, and I was like, "Yeah, this fucking guy is like, just tell him he's a producer or something." And you know what I mean, like classic Hollywood shit. And Eric is like, "No, no, 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 dude, that I invited him. That guy is actually legit." And I'm like, "Oh shit. Well, I hope I was not an asshole to him or anything." But everything, yeah. Even if I did, Ulrich has a very thick skin, so like I'm pretty sure it didn't bother him. Long story short, we end up recording with Ulrich. Um, that was the first EP, Dehumanized. The thing that happened there, though, is that I knew that our bass player and a drummer would not up to par to record. They were okay players, but they weren't great. And I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna work with this great producer, I need a great drummer and I need a great bass player. So that's when the lineup changed again. I got Herman, who was the drummer from the band that I came to LA with. And that's how that first EP was done. And that's all the first music videos that we did. Time Has Come and No Return and all that. That was all produced by Ulrich.
Mhm. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I gotta check out more of your music videos because I think that the first music video that I saw by you guys was for I Can't Take It. And that one came out during the pandemic. I believe it was maybe
Yeah.
2 years ago or like a year ago.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's my favorite Void Vator song. I love that video mostly because you
Nice.
guys are like hanging out on the Sunset Strip and then you're hanging out at the Iranian Canyon. And I mean, I love both of those places.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Has Void Vator always had the same lineup since you guys started, or has it changed over the years?
It changed a lot. Well, like I was saying earlier, um, we started with a different drummer, different bass player. We got Herman, and we got Ian, who played bass on that first EP. And then when it was time to start touring, he just wasn't down to do it. So that's how we got Sam. So that was actually, pretty good for us because Sam's awesome. So we got Sam, and then the drummer um, um, thing started happening where Herman needed to leave because he moved to London. He had problems with his stuff, in Los Angeles and stuff like that. So, and he tried to make it work, but at some point he was like, this is not working out for me, so I'm gonna move to London. So he moved to London, and that's when we got Joey in.
Mm-hmm.
We got Joey in, and then and then the pandemic hit. We did one tour with Joey, and then we were gonna do another one. We did like the first 5 dates, then of course it got canceled because the pandemic hit. And then we recorded Great Fear Rising. But in the because Joey lives in the East Coast, when we would do West Coast shows during the pandemic, we played with Adrian from Ex Mortis.
Mm-hmm.
He would fill in for in drums. Then after that, well, Adrian is Ex Mortis drummer, so we never counted him as a member of the band. He was just like giving us a hand and helping us out. But then once the pandemic was kind of over, we realized we can't do this thing with Joey living all the way in Connecticut and us being here. This is not going to work out. So that's when Santi came into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been playing with Santi for about a year now. And now recently Eric's out of the band, so now we got a new guitar player, Garrett Bauer. So now the lineup has changed again.
Yeah. So sounds like you guys definitely went through a lot of changes.
Yeah, and well, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like the hardest thing about being in a band is keeping the band together.
I see. How long after Void Vator was formed did you guys get to go on your first tour? And which states and cities did you play at?
What's hard about that question is that I don't know when the band was formed, really, because it kind of happened naturally, and the lineups were changing before we even had a set together. But let's just say that the band started when the first music video came out in 2017. Mm-hmm. I think a few months later we started touring. In 2018. Yeah.
Wow.
We started going on tour. Our first tour was a Southwest tour. We did some. I think we played Arizona. We played Texas. We played Oklahoma City. I'm really bad at remembering things, so just bear with me. I don't have a good memory, and we've done many tours with similar routing, so it's like really really hard to say exactly the cities we played. But basically, since 2018, we've toured the West Coast, the East Coast, the South, and the Midwest.
Oh, wow.
We've done like maybe 7 or 8 tours.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Yeah, and it only started in 2017. I mean, on one hand, it's been like what 6 years, and on the other hand, it wasn't like.
Well, we started touring in 2018, and remember the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In 2020, that's when things stopped. Mm-hmm. So that didn't help. But we were still playing. We were playing wherever they would let us play. We would go to Arizona and do shows because they found like some sort of legal loophole to throw shows. So we would go there and play. And then as soon as things started opening up, we started touring again.
Well, yeah, as you should. Next question. Oh. Sorry.
Am I answering like questions before you ask them?
No, you're not. You're not. It's just that
Okay.
I kind of I got a little lost in my list. So let's see. So have you only toured in US so far, or have you been to other countries?
No, we've only toured the US. We play one show in Canada, but that doesn't count.
Well, yeah, I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like a different state.
Yeah, you have basically toured the whole country. Yeah, you just told me. What's the best thing about being on the road?
It's very unpredictable, so it's the opposite of a predictable, typical, civilian life where you wake up the same time, you do the same job, or every day is different. You're hanging out with people you like, hopefully. Uh, you see different places, you meet different people. It's a variety, what makes it cool, and the unpredictability of it. You never know what's going to happen the next day. You don't know what the next day is really going to look like, except for the fact that you're playing a show, which is also always, a fun and exciting idea. So, and I think that's what it is. It's just how unpredictable it is and how different every day is, which is the opposite of, when you're home, days kind of blend in and they kind of look the same. And it actually, you feel like time goes by slower, not faster. You know how they say, like, oh, when you're having a good time, time goes by faster. Not really. Like when we're on the road, at least to me, like 3 days go by and I feel like I've been on the road for a week because you're always engaged doing something. And you got to be focused at all times because you're either driving, you got to be really focused on your driving, or you're unloading, so you got to be aware of your gear, or you're playing, so you're in the moment a lot. There's not a lot of time, at least in my experience, to really dwell on things or think too much because you're doing things. So I think that makes it very fun. The fact that you're forced to be in the moment, which is ultimately the best way to find joy in life is to be present, and you really don't have another option but to be present when you're on the road. And that's to me what makes it what it is.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, honestly, that's great. Yeah, being in the moment. Yeah, that's definitely a nice notion. Okay. Um, hmm. What are some of your most memorable experiences while being on the road?
That one's hard to tell because again, the whole thing is just a big blur in a way, and I don't have many insane stories like Ozzy Osbourne snorting ants and stuff like that because we don't do shit like that. Uh,
Well, good for you. Yeah, I mean,
it's I think it's more about like the little moments that are pretty cool, little cool things that happen. I honestly don't have anything like super memorable that I could be like, oh, I have this crazy anecdote of something that happened. It's to me what's fun and what's memorable is the overall lifestyle of it. The situations you never would come across if you were not on the road. Like we'll end up sleeping on some of the first tours. I remember we played a show at the saloon, like with spittoons and shit in Marfa, Texas. It was literally like an old Western movie, that the type of saloon, like you could hear the piano playing a lot of tuners. It was just kind of surreal. And we played a show, and there were not a lot of people. There were maybe like 15 people there. But one of the guys is like, "Hey, I'm gonna throw a party at my house. Do you guys want to come over?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So we go to this like the random party, and we're just there partying with a bunch of strangers, and everybody was super welcoming. And then this other guy is like, "Do you guys want to stay over at my place?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we ended up going to this guy's house, and it was the most dilapidated house I've ever seen in my life. There was like debris in the house. It was just crazy and it smelled weird. But I remember one of my favorite memories is I was falling asleep on the floor and this guy's like, "Hey, do you guys want me to play some cello for you?" So we're all kind of drunk, passing out, and this guy's playing the cello, kind of far away. but he's all into it, playing some weird music. Like, and I remember falling asleep to this guy playing cello on this dilapidated house, and I'm like,
I
you
bet
know, this is,
the dirty, stinky
it's,
floor too.
huh?
I bet it was probably a really dirty, stinky floor that you were sleeping on.
Yeah, and at that point, you're stinking too. Like I probably hadn't showered in like 3 days, so I didn't care, you know. And I remember falling asleep and thinking, this is nice, like this is different, like I'm just like in Texas, in some weird ass house, and this guy's playing cello for me, as I fall asleep. So there are situations like that a lot. It happens a lot that you get into this bizarre situations, and I think those are, to me, those are memorable moments. They're not very flamboyant or extreme, but that's kind of how I get my kicks.
Yeah, I see. No, no, I totally understand that. I mean, you guys have been touring a lot for a pretty big number of years. I mean, I have only been going to see shows in LA for the past 6 years or so. And honestly, by now, I did so much of that I cannot exactly explain what would be the most memorable experience of seeing a show somewhere. It definitely all blends together, but each time I go, it's awesome. Just like just being in the club in the darkness, listening to music and drinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that
recently,
helps.
yeah, that definitely helps. Yeah. Um, hmm. So, how long after Void Vator formed did you guys get a record deal? Actually, no, scratch that. You answered that for me already.
Yeah, it was. I sort of got after the first show.
Yeah, the first show. Awesome. And which recording company was it again?
That was Warm Group. That was Ulrich Wild's independent label.
Okay. Which clubs have you played at in LA? Well, I guess it's been a lot of places probably, but you can just like tell me your most like memorable ones. And
Well, the one that we play the most is the Viper Room for sure.
oh,
We play the
really?
Viper Room. Well, yeah, we play the Viper Room maybe 7 or 8 times at this point.
Wow, that's awesome. Gosh.
Yeah.
I wish I could have caught you there. I mean, when I go to see live music on the Sunset Strip, I mostly go to the Whiskey. It's like my number one go to club. I have been to the Roxy only twice. And the first time that I went there was back in 2017. The second time was just this past summer. And I do go to the Viper Room every once in a while, mostly when my friends are playing. They're in this band called the Falling Doves. So they do a gig there every once in a while. But yeah, Whiskey is definitely my favorite.
We played there once, the Whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we've done like, again, my memory is not the best. We played some shows in downtown LA. I think it was called the Five Star, and then I can't remember what else, honestly. We played in Tarsana. We've done shows. I mean, I do not have a good memory. I could not tell you the names of the venues.
I see. Yeah, well, I definitely loved seeing you guys at the. Let's see, I have a good memory of this. What was that place called? The Resident. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that one. Yeah, see, exactly. See, now when you mention it, I know. I'm like, yeah, I remember playing there. But if you ask me, I'm like, I don't know.
A lot of venues kind of blends all together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, do you have any favorite LA clubs or live music venues like to play at or to
To
just go?
play or to go see bands. I love the Viper Room. I love the Viper Room and the Roxy. Even though I've never played the Roxy, I've been to many shows. I worked there for a little while.
Oh, nice.
Is I think the Roxy might be the best for like you know for like a mid-sized venue.
Mhm.
The sound is amazing at the Roxy. It's anywhere you stand at the Roxy Theater sounds good. And anywhere you stand at the Roxy, you will see what's going on stage. You're never too far. Then for a more intimate show, the Viper Room is perfect. I love the Viper Room. I really like playing there. I never had a bad experience at the Viper Room.
Yeah, I love that place too. I mean, honestly, personally, I love the whiskey more, but the Viper Room is definitely special. And which leads me to my next question. How do you feel about the fact that they're going to tear the Viper Room down, possibly?
I don't think they are.
Really?
Yeah, no. I've been hearing that they're going to close the Viper Room ever since I moved to LA in 2013,
Oh,
and
really?
they haven't. Yeah, it's always, I don't know why, there's always this rumor that the Viper Room's going to be shut down, and it never is.
I first heard that in 2019, and then I think a year ago, I saw the article. Like my friend and I were talking about it, and he told me that there is actually an article that's out that's stating that the Viper Room is like it was purchased by someone and it's on its way to being torn down. And I thought that they were talking about doing it last year, but now everyone's saying that it's going to happen in 2023. And when my friend's band was playing there this October, in the beginning of October, like I went to that show and like the whole band was like, "Well, it's our last time here before they tear it down." And yeah, but when you said that they've been talking about it since 2013, it made me think like it's quite possible that it is a rumor because
Dude,
like
it,
it's a long ass
it's not
time.
gonna, I don't think it'll happen. I don't know why there's always rumors about the Viper Room being, demolished.
Oh,
To, I mean, it's like the same, like the same old story of the big corporate guys, trying to buy out the mom and pop store and build this conglomerate or something. I don't buy it. I just don't think
the
it'll
same
happen.
thing, honestly. Yeah, and well, it's definitely it's definitely comforting to know that it could quite possibly be a rumor.
Yeah, if I had to bet money, I would say it's bullshit. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's a comforting thought for sure.
Yeah,
So
maybe as me just trying to cope with the fact that it will be demolished.
yeah, and well, if it will be, according to the article that I read, they are going to rebuild it. Like I read that they're planning on installing an apartment building there, and the Viper Room is technically still going to be a part of it. They're going to make it something like the Hard Rock Cafe, where it's going to be a bigger venue and it will be soundproof. I mean, it should be soundproof because if it's going to be on the first floor,
I know, right? Who would want to live there?
yeah, like it better be like. But it's really comforting to know that it could quite possibly be a rumor. And every single time, like I think about that, I think, why the fuck don't they just put a new building where the Hustler was? They already moved the Hustler. They shouldn't have done that, but they did.
I
So,
just don't think it's true. That's just my take.
okay. So, how often do you guys play in LA clubs in general, like throughout a year? Because I
Honestly, on average, I think we play in Los Angeles twice a year.
yeah, why don't you guys play more? I mean, I've only been going to see your shows like for like a year now, and you only played like a handful of times here.
Yeah, like I said, maybe twice a year. Well, think about any other band. How often do other bands come to LA and play? Maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years.
Good point.
You're not you play, and I know this is our hometown, but the more you play the same town, the more you affect the draw because people already saw you. Why would they see you again, like in a month? And then maybe they will, but then the next one, and then the next one,
Mhm.
it's gonna come a time. It's an offer and demand kind of thing. It's like how much are we wanted? So for now, playing 2 to 3 times a year seems to work out. Like we have a good draw. I feel like if we play more, then people be like, I'll catch them next week. And then you're just dividing your audience into different shows instead of like waiting a little longer and playing really good packed shows, which is what you want to do. And I mean, it's the same when we go out of town. Like we'll go to, play in Arizona or Texas, and yeah, we play those places maybe twice a year. And it's the same for Los Angeles. We played it maybe twice, 3 times a year. I would like to play more. I would like to play in LA more. I gotta be honest. I'm not opposed to it, but so far it's just been the way of things. But maybe things will change a little bit and we'll be able to play a little bit more.
Well, yeah, I hope you do because I would love to be able to see you guys play in LA more often. Like it's
And
such
I
a
think we could. I think we could play, once every 3 months or so, and still have a good draw and have fun shows.
yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, every single time that I saw you guys live, it was amazing. Like the music is super fun, especially my first time seeing you guys
It was your what?
live. The music is super fun.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
and like yeah, especially my first time seeing you guys live, I was like, well, this is awesome.
When
So
was the first time you saw us play?
um, last year at the end of September, um,
So
September.
that was at the Resident, right?
Yes, it was that
Oh,
time.
yeah. Cool. That was a fun one.
It was. Yeah, it was definitely a great show. So, who is Void Vator's main songwriter? You? I see.
Yeah,
So you write all of the lyrics.
yeah. Except for uh, except for two songs that Eric wrote, MacGyver's Mullet and There's Something Wrong With Us. Those are Eric's songs. But everything else I've written myself. Um, I come up with the ideas by myself, but then I take it to the rehearsal space and we work on them, and then they developed into what they are. It's a group effort after my initial, you know, I'll bring a raw idea and we work around that. So it will be like, bring in the piece of marble and then we all freaking just carve at it and turn it into a statue or something, you know.
Nice. Okay, so do you guys, so like after the lyrics are written, so do you guys then work on the music all like together?
What, sorry?
So after the, so well, yeah, after the lyrics are written, then it's time for you guys to work on the music together.
I would normally just write the music and I wouldn't even write the lyrics first.
I see.
The way I write, I'll show you what I do. Like I would grab my guitar and I'll come up with something. I'm just gonna come up with something right now just to show you kind of what the process is like. I will just go like, I don't know, and then I start mumbling something. Something, I don't know. I'm just coming up with whatever, right? So then I record that, and I have that idea. I have the chords, I have the guitar part, kind of, sort of, an idea of the way I want the vocals to go, the melody, and usually the vowels that I'm going to use. When I'm mumbling, the vowels that come out kind of restrict what I'm going to write later because that's what sounds appropriate to me, to my ear, with what I'm playing. So then when I write, I'm like, okay, the rhyme is going to be with this vowel and then this vowel here because that was my first instinct. Um, and then I'll take that idea to the rehearsal space and I'll show the guys what I just did, for example. And they'll play along and then I'll start singing, still no lyrics, and then we'll build it like that,
See, see,
and I'll take it home, um, and I'll lay down some guitars and then I'll start writing lyrics based on the way I feel about the music, what kind of ideas it evokes. Then I'll write it. Like this song could be about this or that, or maybe there is a word in my mumbling that I'm like, oh, I actually said a word in there. So then that word starts one line, and then the next line has something to do with that, and then I gotta be like, okay, but what is this song about now? Okay, I know where this is going, and it's usually something in your subconscious that is expressing through that mumbling and those vowels and those certain words that come out. So it's very like mentally involved in that sense because you gotta let yourself go completely, not overthink, and let your subconscious come up and do the work for you, without being afraid of showing it, because it's what's in your head.
like you have to fully immerse yourself in it.
Hmm.
So, wow, that's a really cool process. Okay. And my last question for you is, does Void Vator have a new album coming out anytime soon?
We are working on new music. We are working on a new single. We don't have a date for a new album. We just don't have enough material at the time, and we just got a new guitar player, and we are now in the process of writing a new album. So actually today later I have a rehearsal, and we're going to be working on new material, and hopefully we'll start playing new songs live too. Some of these songs that we're writing, I would like to play them live, just try them out and see how they work out. That's something that we used to do uh, before the pandemic. We will write some songs and then we'll go on the road and try them out and be like, this doesn't work that well, or like this part of the song kind of sucks, or and see people's reactions and whatnot. So yeah, no, there's no, not a date for a new album to come out. We're writing it, so it'll take however long it takes. It's got to be good. That's my thing with music. Like if it's not good, I'm not gonna put it out. Like just because we wrote it. We'll write something and then decide whether or not it's worth putting out. And if it is, and great. And if it's not, then we gotta keep writing until it's good.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it. Yeah. So, however long it takes, because you don't want the final result to like not be all that it can be, right?
Exactly. Yeah. At the same time, there's a time limit for things. Like if you're working on something for too long, it's probably not good either. There's a sweet spot with the creative process. If you feel like you have to rework something too much, to me, in my experience, it's better to just not work on it at all. Be like, if we have to put so much effort into this sounding good, then it's just not a good idea. Because good ideas sound good from the get-go. Like they have a vibe, they have energy from the beginning. You don't have to work on them too hard. The best ideas are simple and effective. Once you have to work on something too much, it's because it's not that great. So if you're working on an album and you just like taking forever to release it, my suspicion is that you know it's not that great. you know Things are to be more spontaneous. So that's kind of where we're at. We have that mindset. So we are writing an album right now, or well, just writing songs. Really, I don't even have an album in mind. We're just trying to write songs that sound good to us. um so it shouldn't take more than a year,
Yes.
meaning the writing, then recording, finding a release date. I mean, before you know it, it's going to be a year.
So, well, that's definitely a really good process. I mean, never release anything until it's fully ready. And yeah, working on some don't not working on something a little too hard. I gotta say, I gotta disagree with you on that, because I think that if you are gonna work on something hard enough, even if it's not working out in the beginning, if you do what you time to it, there is a chance that one day, hopefully soon, depending on how much you work on it, you are gonna get the result. I get that a lot when I'm trying to learn
I I,
song.
under, I get that, like, working, you got to work hard. You never stop working. That's for sure. I'm just talking about songs specifically. Like if you're working on one song and it's just not happening and not happening, ditch it. Write another one. You know, you don't stop working. You write another one. That's what I'm saying. Like when a song is kind of stagnant and like you feel like you gotta rework it because this part isn't working. Well, maybe the part sucks, dude, and you have to write something better. So I agree. You should work hard and you don't stop working, but not on the same thing that isn't working. The thing is not working, it's gone. On to the next one. Because sometimes that in my experience, that's happened before. We're working on a song too much and it's not working out, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. And then we work on a new song and boom, it's there immediately. And I'm like, yeah, why were we wasting our time with that when we can write something better?
Yeah, I gotta say, I definitely experienced that when trying to learn how to sing song covers. If one song isn't working out, I will try my best to well, I guess flog a dead horse, so to speak, work on it until I'm just like so fucking tired that I just can't like do it anymore. Then move on to the next one. I think
Yeah,
that
and sometimes you'll sing a song that just comes naturally to you, and that's why you should be singing, especially if you're enjoying it. if you're enjoying what you're singing and it comes out naturally, and then that's why you should go for it. If you're trying to sing something that you're not getting, maybe you're just not ready, or maybe it's just not your bag.
Good point. Definitely good point. Well, those are all of the questions that I had for you, and we did a full hour. So that was,
Damn.
yeah, damn, yeah, like definitely a long ass, but a long ass interview, but a lot of information. Yeah, I'm
Cool.
gonna
No, that
be
was fun.
I'm gonna be rewatching this until like I fully grasp it, because like you gave me so much. Like I honestly just like want to rewatch it until I like hear all of the answers again.
Cool.
Well, okay, Lucas, thank you so much for doing this. I had a lot of fun interviewing you. Hope you had fun answering questions for me
Yeah,
as
that was a fun combo for sure.
well. Okay, well, have fun at your rehearsal. And
I'll see you at the Vibe Room show. Are you going?
yes, of course. Yeah, I'll be there. Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely see you guys there. Excited to hear you play again.
Cool.
Well, bye.
Yeah.